All right, all right, all right. I'll start this baby with the spindle. That'll be enough. Here's what we have so far. I've got the engine block, the main part of the engine, whatever you want to call it, the stand, the upright, the main bearing, and the bored piston, and the reamed valve with the valve in it. Here's the valve. Lay it down there, see it a little better maybe. So I have to decide which one of these two eccentric follower links to use. That one's a little loose. This is the first one I made, and this is the one you watched me make. Oh, look at there. Ain't that a great fit? So I'll be using this one. This one has got, didn't get the holes precisely centered. And I mentioned earlier that precisely centering the holes as I did on the one on the right would make it look better later on. Well, obviously it does. But we're going to use this one. Alright, so it goes together like this, the eccentric. I'll take the link off. The eccentric goes on the main shaft. We'll tighten it down with our new set screw a little bit. We'll put the eccentric follower link on her. I'll put the spacer on it, and the spacer is of indeterminate width. You don't know how wide to make it. Depends on your engine, and it depends on how much you can move the main bearing back and forth. Well, see, I've got a set screw there that'll allow me to move the main bearing back and forth, so I've got a lot of room to play. And it goes on, all this goes on the valve side, and see, it's about, you know, it's not far off of alignment now. I can easily adjust it by moving the main bearing over. And then the valve, of course, we have a slit here for the eccentric follower link to fit up in there, but uh-oh, look at that. They're nowhere close to the same. So what am I going to do? Am I going to make the slit in the valve wider, or am I going to put the eccentric follower at the end of it about a, 3/8 of an inch or so on the old belt sander? I think I'm going to put it on the old belt sander, because making this wider would be a chore. And that's, if you can see the motion at the end of the eccentric follower link, that's all it moves. I decided not to take a belt sander to the eccentric follower link. It's 65 thousandths thick, and to get it in the original slot, I would have had to take it down to 28 thousandths. That's too. I didn't want a piece of brass that thin. So what I did was use these files. This one's 65 thousandths, and this one's like 40 thousandths or less. It's pretty neat little files. And I got her fitting just nice. So, the next time, what I'll do when I make this valve is before I ever cut it from the raw stock, I will put it in the mill, mount it in the mill, and create this slit at the proper width with the slitting saw. It might be a little difficult because I'll have to take 2 cuts. I've got 28 thousandths inch thick slitting saws, so that'd be 56 thousandths. So I'd have to take 2 cuts, maybe, and then a little bit of filing, unless I could find a slitting saw that was the right width. I've fit the length of the eccentric length. I've fit this part to the valve, and I've cut it to the right length. But I'm talking about this one down here, not really talking about this one. I'm holding this one as a demonstration. What I've got to do now is put the hole in it for the wrist pin. I'm going to use a 1/16 inch diameter dowel pin and cut it to length. Grind it to length. And I'm going to start off with I don't want the hole to be oversized, so I'm not going to use a 1/16 inch bit to begin with. I'm going to use a 0.059 bit, which is a number something or another. And I'm going to drill that hole right there. This is a messy process. Messy, and by messy I mean I'm not liking it. I'm going to center drill it and then drill it. I'm not sure I'm on my spot. There, that's looking better. I actually found it. We'll tighten that baby up a little better this time. There. The holes looks like it's in the right place. Now I've got to get this 1/16 inch pin through it. I'd rather it be too small to start with, and it is, than too large. I drilled the hole out further to 1/16 of an inch, 0.0625. I'd used a 0.059 bit at first, thinking I might somehow get this pin through there, but that wasn't going to be. So I took a good 1/16 inch bit and ran through that 0.059 hole, and I got a good tight fit, like I wanted. You can see the pin is started, and that's good enough for right now. I'll press it through, and when the time comes. All right, I need to press this pin through there, and then I'll go about trimming it up, because it has to fit up within the valve body. I'm going to press it in there with my vise. Let's see where we are. Another 1/16 of an inch. I don't want to bend anything a little bit more. I ought to be able to feel it, but when it hits. Tiny bit more. There it hit, I felt it. See, I'll take it down to the grinder and trim that off, because it has to fit up inside that valve body. I've trimmed that pin up. Fits nicely now, and I have a good fit in the eccentric follower link. So it's not going to come out. Of course, it's not going to come out anyway once it's up in the valve body. So it fits up in there like this. All right. This is more or less what it's supposed to look like. It could have been prettier, but everything's free. My valve doesn't come all the way to the top like I wanted, so I'll have to, I believe Mr. Pete's Tubal Canes comes all the way to the top, so I'll have to drill my port a little lower, but that's all right. It'll affect the stroke, but I believe we've got plenty of room there for stroke. I'll zoom in and show you where the valve comes to. I think I will. Too much. Can you see it right just surfacing there? Here, let's do this. Now I think you might be able to see it. So it lacks, I don't know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. But I think we'll be fine. It's time to address the issue of getting steam into the cylinder, or air in my case. The steam in is going to be on this side at the correct distance below the surface of the head to make the valve work. And it's going to be on this side, but that doesn't get steam over into the cylinder. There has to be a hole from the valve into the cylinder about 1/8 of an inch plus 62 thousandths of an inch, if I've calculated correctly. That would be, you figure it yourself, 187 thousandths of an inch, or yeah, 187 thousandths of an inch. It's got to be a hole 187 thousandths of an inch, if I've calculated correctly, in line like this. It'll be drilled all the way through here into the cylinder, and then I'll plug it right here. I'll plug it back up between the valve and the wall of the block. Probably use a set screw with Loctite. I don't have much width here to play with, do I? Ideally, this valve body would be further over into here. I must have screwed up on a dimension when I was laying this out, but that's irrelevant. We can make this work. So now I'm going to put it in the vise. Clamp her down. Find the width and find this edge and come down that 187 thousandths of an inch. Did you see any of that? So let's see if I can adjust things. I'll repeat it. Maybe I'll cut that part out. I'll find the width in the center, then I'll find this edge, come down 187 thousandths, and drill that hole all the way through to the cylinder. My plan is to drill this hole and put after I drill it through to the cylinder, to then tap it for 632 and put a 632 set screw here, Loctite it in. So here we go, we're going to center drill it. Better get a little lube. I have to walk them. No, I'll be good. Felt like the flutes were packed. This bit is quick cutting. So we'll look for a replacement. I'll be back. I'm glad it quit cutting because it wasn't a number 29, it was just in that hole. Here's a number 29. See the difference in the diameter? Wow. So we'll go back in with the correct size bit. Months ago, I dropped a box of 129 piece set of drill bits, and a bunch of the wire drills jumped out. And I stuck them back in what I thought were their correct slots, holes, and forgot about it. I use a different set normally, but I had to go to this set to find this one I dropped, to find a number 36. Well, I got to looking at it and comparing things. It couldn't have been a number 36. It was way too small. So I found out that the bits that I'd put back in their proper holes weren't. And I spent a lot of time with a micrometer figuring it out. When I finally got it figured out, I got a good number 36 and drilled that through hole. Now I'm going to tap this hole, 632. There we go. Won't even try to put that baby in without a proper Allen wrench. Alright, that worked nicely. I'll Loctite that in. Clean up that bore, so get the burr out of the inside, so the piston will fit fine, and we'll go on to the next step. I need to locate, drill, and tap 1032, a hole for steam in. I'm going to put it 0.625 inches from the surface of the head, and I want to make sure that it's centered precisely over this 1/4 inch hole for the valve. Well, how do I do that? I could, because I don't exactly know where the center is from here to here, from here to here. I could use my guesstimators and guesstimate it. Let's do that. Oops, a little too much. I'm going to guesstimate it at 0.3310, or I could take this piece of 1/4 inch drill rod, stick it in there, and this will almost give me, this I measured 0.3294. Let's do it again. 0.3286, so I'm going to call it 0.329. Of course, that's both measurements, with and without the drill rod, worked to the outer circumference there, and I need the middle. So what I'll do is take that last measurement, 0.329, and subtract half of 1/4 inch from it. That'd be, I'll subtract 0.329 minus 0.125, whatever that is, and that'll be the distance I need to come over from here. So the drill rod is kind of a handy device to use. Alright, here we go. I'm going to center drill and then drill this hole for the 1032 steam in port. Which is a number 1032 is a number 21 bit. Trying to keep my hand out of the way. Oh, the handle's going to get in the way. Yep, let's do that together. Let's take this handle completely off. It's going to be kind of awkward here. Now we can do it. I have to be careful on the feel here so I don't go completely through the valve body. We'll tap it. I'm going to tap it 1032, but that's going to be kind of boring, so we'll cut off here. There we go. That'll be steam in, or in my case, air in. Well, here's our first operational test. I'm going to test this valve. Done a lot of work just to get this far, so I ought to see if it works. It's shut off now. It's leaking out the top. I don't feel any in the cylinder. Well, I think it's going to work.